Hi everybody, welcome. We are now officially in week 2 of Module 2, and I am back at the start of our week to walk you through the second part of Module 2. So hopefully you had a chance last week to listen to my first screencast on Module 2, Week 1, and today we're going to just quickly unpack what we have to do this week, taking a look at all the assignments as well as understanding the Read Aloud project. So it is, as I said, Module 2, and we are in Week 2, so we are going to click on our content page for the week, which is going to be Picture Books. And once we do so, we'll do it again. There we go. Once we click on Picture Books, it's going to show us everything we've got going on. So this second week of Module 2 is all about picture books. And you will read about picture books in our Open Education resource. Your assignments this week are to do the reading organizer for picture books. Remember, in that reading organizer, each of the 3 prompts should be answered in paragraph form. And there is a specific word count requirement for the reading organizers. So if I click on Reading Organizer, we can scroll down here and take a look. To get full credit on the Reading Organizer, you want to answer each of the 3 questions thoughtfully and respond in paragraph form, and then use complete sentences with proper spelling, grammar, and each prompt should be about 75 to 100 words. So it's just a really simple paragraph that I'm looking for with detail. Please make sure that you are making a copy of the Module 2 organizer following the directions below here and sharing that with me in Canvas. If, again, you ever choose to just share the link of your reading organizer rather than putting the document in Canvas, that's fine. Always do be sure to check the settings that it is shared with me. Next thing for the week, so that's due Tuesday, that is due tomorrow, our picture book reading organizer, Tuesdays by 11:59 p.m. Then we have a reading commentary number 3. So you're well on your way to reading commentaries. I know in my last screencast I kind of went over that in more detail, but this week we are talking about New York Library's top 100 picture books. It's a really cool commentary. It's going to take you to a great link. So here is the information for completing RC3. Go ahead and click on Picture Books, 100 Greatest Picture Books, and it's going to show you all of this information starting from A going all the way down to Z. So cruise through this wide, wonderful list of books, and hopefully while you're doing that, you will be at your local library or MCC library and be able to choose the ones that you want to check out. Remember, you should be checking out the books so that you have them in hand to do the reading commentary. Once you've chosen your 2 books off of this particular list, please jump back over to your steps for completing RC3. In your post, you want to include the title and the author, of course, and then you're just going to break down the story. The beginning, describe it about 2 to 3 sentences. Where and when does the story take place? Who is in the story and what is the problem? It can be very brief. We don't want to give the whole story away. We're not rewriting the book. The middle should be 3 to 4 sentences. Describe who did what and what happened in your own words. And then the ending, 2 to 3 sentences. What was the problem? How was the problem resolved? And why did the character do what they did? After you've described the beginning, middle, and end, you will then list 5 vocabulary words from the book that you think are an important part of understanding the story. And of course, please be sure to attach the images of the books that you read in the discussion board. You can take one picture of yourself holding up both books. You could take a picture of both books at one time or one of each, but just do make sure that you are including a photograph of the books. Please do be sure to respond to the initial post by Thursdays. This gives everybody a chance to read your posts and then get back in and reply to 2 peers by Sunday night. That is worth 5 points on this rubric, and you definitely want to make sure that you are getting your full points. The rubric here, in case you haven't had a chance to check when in grading your initial post, is worth 6 points. Post should be thoroughly address the topic. The commentary is well written, includes proper sentence structure, grammar, spelling, and it is submitted on time. 2 points for submitting pictures of the book. And then 1 point for responding to your first peer and 1 point for responding to your second peer. So I do apologize. I just said that the response post was worth 5 points. I was thinking of a different rubric. It is worth 2 points on your rubric this week or every week. Okay, getting back to what is due, now that you have completed your reading commentary, you're planning to respond to your classmates, now let's unpack the Read Aloud project. So this week we're taking a look at this project, and this project will be going on throughout the semester. So in order to be successful, we break it down so that you are able to stay on track. So for this assignment, you will be expected to read with someone using books that you have chosen. They can be picture books, they can be short novels, just whatever is appropriate for your audience. You can read with any child or group of children that you have access to. I've had a lot of students email me saying, does this mean that I have to do service learning? No, you do not have to do service learning, and it's not required that you do service learning. If you are already in a service learning situation and your teacher has given you permission to read to the children for 10 hours of your learning time, great. The request here is that you do meet with the same children or child for every hour, because you're wanting to see the growth of the child or group of children. This can be a group of children that you work with at your workplace. It can be your own children. It can be your nieces and nephews. It can be your neighbors. It really can be any children that you have access to. You must spend 10 hours reading. These hours should be broken up across the weeks 6 to 12 to be successful. So do plan on reading for about 2 hours each week. The one thing to consider, if you are reading with young children, ages, I've had people read with children 2 to 3 years old, 3 to 4, 5 to 6. Somewhere in those really younger ages, especially those toddlers, you're going to have to break down your reading increments into smaller bits of time. 2 to 3 year olds are not able to sit with you for an hour of reading. It's just not where they are developmentally. So beware that if you are with younger ones, you should be breaking up your time 15 minutes max. Maybe push out till 20, but just kind of be reading their attention span. If you're reading with older children, certainly the older they are, the longer their attention span. You can read with any age group. It could be somewhere around age 2 all the way up through senior year of high school. I am not picky on that. I just want it to be a child or young adult. So again, if you're reading with a high school student, you certainly could be getting those chunks of time blocked off in bigger chunks. So the first thing that is due this week is your plan of action, and it's just figuring out what we are going to do. So I don't know why it is not highlighted in part 1, but we can come right down here to plan of action. That is the assignment due by Sunday this week, and it is simply you're going to make a copy of this Read Aloud plan of action overview, and it's just basically telling me what your plan is. So by now you should have chosen your reader or people who you plan to read with. And I'm just noticing here that there is a typo. This is not 20 hours of reading, it is 10, and I will go in and fix this immediately because the requirement is 10. That is a typo. So for this reading project, you will choose a group of children to read over the course of the 6 weeks, totaling 10 hours of reading time. You will start collecting your hours as soon as possible. It could be this week, it could be next, just as soon as possible. The child or groups that you choose can be any age, toddler to teenager, like I just said, and can be someone you know well, like a sibling or your child, or somebody that you have access to, such as someone you volunteer with, or if you're doing service learning or your workplace, anything like that. Just be consistent on it being the same group every week. So in your action plan, complete part 1, use this template, make a copy, and put your name, the child or group of children that you will be reading with. Describe the ages and names if you can, and how you gained access to the reader or group of readers. Number 3, what types of books or book will you read to your child or group of readers, and why? If they're young children, you will likely want to go with picture books, books that attract their attention. You do not have to have every single book that you intend to read listed out here, but I do want you to have an understanding of what you're intending to read. If you're reading with older groups of children, you might want to choose a couple books or short novels, chapter books that you have in mind, asking them their influence, what they like to read. So it is a good idea to ask your readers what interests them, because it's going to help you in choosing your book. A lot of times we find when we have complete control over choosing the books with our readers are less interested. So give them access to the choices. Definitely the first time you meet, you must come in with some books you've picked out, and then at that point just kind of decide, do they like your choices? Ask them what would they prefer. So that's the whole point here. It does not have to be every book written out that you plan to read. I just want you to have an idea. Number 4, considering a weekly schedule, what days and times each week do you plan on reading with your reader? Remember, your total hours should be around 2 hours a week. But again, depending on the age group, you will have to decide how many times a week you will meet in order to make that 2 hours. That is not required. I will not know if you read more than 2 hours or less than 2 hours in a week, but it is a really good time management to intend to get about 2 hours done a week. And then what are some challenges you think you might encounter during this project? How will you work through them? This can be if you have some time management issues, or if you're just not sure how this is going to work out. Just anything that you think might be a challenge, and anything that you think that will help you in that challenge. If I see that you have a real challenge that you're concerned about, I can certainly give you some suggestions in my comments when I grade this. And then finally, what do you hope to learn from this experience? You have the opportunity now to read with children for 10 hours, and you are going to see some massive growth during that time. So tell me, what do you hope to learn from the experience, and anything else you wish to say. So this overview, action plan, if you will, is due on Sunday of this week, of this module. And again, the main purpose is so that I know that you are ready to go for the rest of this Read Aloud project, and that you can start a time management plan. So that's all that's due this week. Again, I will go in and change this 20 hours. It's supposed to read 10. The next part will be an interview of your reader. Just to take a quick look, that's not due for quite a few weeks. So when you first meet with your reader, you will go through this interview, these interview questions, answer the interview questions after you have read the article. There is a great interview article that kind of gives you a heads up on why you are doing a pre-reading interview. And then use the following questions to help that interview go along. I can go through this in more detail as we get closer, but that will be the next part that is due. So once you've done the interview with your readers, then you will take a look down here. Who you interviewed and when or where you conducted the interview is 3 points. A script of the questions that you used and your child's responses is 10 points, and a reflection of what you learned from conducting the interview. So the little reflection piece is, of course, after you have done that interview. That will be due, I believe, in about 5 weeks. So, but I do recommend getting that done when you meet with your reader pretty quickly when you start meeting. Then due in week 13 is your journal. Now you will have to start doing this each time you meet with your reader. Your journal activity is just simply Every time you meet, whether it be for 15 minutes with a young reader or for 2 hours, you will just jot down this reflective journal. So a summary of observations and participation. What did you do and see? And then a quick reflection. What went well? What could have gone better? What ideas did you like? What questions, concerns were raised? You will do this little reflection journal every time you meet with your reader.